This year, I've bought two very different dropper posts for two very different project bikes. The first was for my main full suspension, which I use any chance I get. I went with the much more expensive Rockshox Reverb AXS. The other dropper went on a much cheaper project bike, also known as my loaner full suspension. In that case, I used the Tranz-X cableless dropper, and this is my experience with both. The reverb is great, it's reliable, and paired with the GX axis, it lets me run my riff zone nearly clutter-free. I'm just waiting on them to release a Bluetooth chain to eliminate the last noise-prone area, but that doesn't exist, so don't look it up. One thing I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on is the install. They're almost identically the same. Lightly grease up the post, or don't, go overboard, it's your bike, you don't need me telling you what to do. Then slide it in the C-post tube, and torque it down. Or don't bother me none. The only difference, of course, is the actuator on the Rockshox. Now before I kick things off on the trail, I actually want to talk about the reverb real quick. Let me preface this with, the majority of the things you can do on the Axis are things you can do with a cabled version of a dropper post. The added convenience of the Axis is that it's easy to install and requires no cable to replace ever. So, with that out of the way, let's go. I won't lie to you. There are times I feel like I did overpay for this. So, because I have talked about this before, I won't spend too much time. One thing I will address is some of the questions. Does it make you climb easier? Whoever tells you that they like climbing or that it's the best part of mountain biking, you have one of two things going on. One, they are either a liar, or two, they are, and this is true, BKXy. Man, that man has a six-pack chiseled out of Mount Olympus. Oh, it sucks. No, it doesn't. Does it make descending easier? I mean, it's still fun. Is it just one of the coolest pieces of technology I could put on this bike? Arguably, yes. One thing that I did like about this dropper post is that it is arguably the most used size in mountain bike, in terms of diameter anyways. What I mean is I could just take this off and I could slap it into my Marin San Quentin whenever I want. One of the main reasons I haven't done that so far is because sometimes I do go out biking with somebody who needs to borrow a bike, and since she's shorter, it's easier for her to take this bike and I can just take this Marin San Quentin. There's going to be a point in time where that doesn't happen, but until then, I'm going to keep leaving this on here. But I do know at any point in time, I can just swap this over. I will say though, I kind of wish that the actual dropper lever itself had more of a hinge design on this, so I could just easily take this on and off and just swap it between bikes. Now, technically, I can still do that, but it's just a little more work than I want it to be. But honestly, that's just a nitpick from me. It's not a negative point to this dropper at all. Honestly, I don't really have a whole lot of complaints. This thing is instantaneous. The second I want to use it, watch, you're on the dropper. It works. If you were to ask me would I recommend a wireless dropper post, it'd be a tough sell. Honestly, this doesn't do anything that a wired one does. The only thing that it does differently is that it's wireless, so you don't have to run cables through a frame. And if you were to ask me would I buy this again, I have to say I'm not sure. Technically, this cost $800. That's the price of a brand new Marin San Quentin 1. I could buy a brand new bike for the price of this dropper post. I will say this though, if you have two bikes lying around and you want to swap them, you can kind of think of it this way. $800 dropper post for both bikes. That's a little more fair, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's a tough sell for anybody with just one bike. The only reason I did this is because I had both bikes. Now, unfortunately, rain got in the way of me taking the Mongoose on the actual same trail that I went on before, but I didn't want to say nothing, so here goes. It's not much to say, honestly. It's pretty simple to work. It doesn't really take a whole lot of effort, just one finger to get it to go up and down. It's not that high up, it's 100 millimeters, but sometimes you can only install 100 because of the way your bike is designed. Honestly, it's not too bad. I kind of like it for what it is. It does make getting on and off the bike a little easier, especially if this is kind of your max area and getting on there is kind of tricky. It is also nice to see that your cockpit is less cluttered since you have less on the side. All you have is your brake and, in this case, the shifter. And in terms of looks, I mean, it looks okay. Honestly, with that little lever on it, it kind of just looks like a glorified office chair, honestly. Essentially, that's what most droppers are, just office chairs on mountain bikes. But like I said, it's very easy, just one finger to engage the up and down. Overall, the addition of a dropper post really does add to the experience of mountain biking. I know there are some people that say you don't need one, and I'll agree to that to an extent. Buying one does spoil you, however, and I don't think I'll ever ride a mountain bike of my own that doesn't have one at this point. It just adds that ability to adjust your seat when you need to. Granted, the Tranz-X is better in terms of price, but it's also suited in situations where split-second decisions won't arise. And the AXS is a perfect performer, albeit a very expensive one. I can easily see myself using something in the middle or close to the Tranz-X side, just to save money. But after all, there are cheaper droppers in Rockshox lineups, and just like that, there are also more expensive ones offered by Tranz-X. Overall, I'm just glad that I got to experience both droppers, and I do have plans to continue using both as they are now. I would like to take this time to thank everyone for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Honestly, a dropper post is perfect for a little system like this. Just to show you, I need the seat down to go down this. As I start going up, I'm going to need to engage the dropper post, so I need it back up to start climbing. And if I do one thing terribly wrong, I could, this is true, run into those droppings right there. Here we go, it's nothing.